Well, we are back.
We're back, baby!
We are back
Man.
to Whatever This Is podcast.
Woo!
A new setup, just like we kind of talked about.
I like it.
Yeah.
I really like it.
I think...
you've got an enlightenment
I
hovering
do.
over you.
I do.
You got the Holy Spirit hovering over you. Let's... we got people that just listen, so they're not going to know what this looks like. So,
but it is...
I think you're better at describing things than I am.
It's nice. I'm going to give a shout out to the church that I pastor, First Baptist Church.
Oh, I'm going to give a shout out to the church I pastor.
Man, they painted a wall for us. We have chairs now. I don't know if you've ever watched the YouTube, but before we had chairs, but it was...
we had chairs in there, too. We didn't sit on the floor.
We didn't sit on the floor, but we have comfy chairs.
These are comfy.
Yeah, and man...
This is more homey.
It is homey.
More home style.
Now it's like we're sitting around the living room.
Exactly.
Talking to each other, and man, I got a plant.
We need a fireplace right here.
Ooh.
I could edit in a flame in the video.
There might be a fireplace not being used somewhere. I don't know about here.
I think that'd be cool. If
I remember seeing one somewhere.
I mean, like one of those fake fireplaces.
Yeah.
Because everything else in here is fake. Except us. We're not fake.
We're real people.
We're real people. We are not AI generated.
This is 300 pounds of realness. I have this plant. It's fake, but it's cool. Man, I'm excited.
I like it. I feel like I need a plant.
It's true. We are a little off base, off centered, but this is episode 1 of season 2. Man, coming at you with another 12-ish episodes. Just to kind of give you a rundown, we'll probably take December off because of Christmas and stuff.
Yeah, I think we'll probably take the holidays off this winter just to breathe and.
Yeah, but.
I know once fall hits at Roby, we've got a lot going on, but
yeah,
that's weekend stuff.
Yeah, we'll make it happen.
We'll make it happen.
So we are back at it. We're
back by popular demand.
Yeah, we had one request of asking when we were going to come back.
Where you at?
Hey, we're here. We're here.
here.
We were just waiting for you guys. No, but crazy summer. It was awesome. We're going to talk about it a little bit, but man, I'm Pastor Trevor.
I'm Pastor Wes.
And this is...
Whatever This Is?
Podcast.
So, Trevor, tell me about your summer.
Man, it was...
Tell me about your summer. What did you do?
Oh, I can't touch the microphone. It'll feed back. It was it was crazy. I had a crazy summer. It was really, really busy, but amazing. I had the opportunity to do a couple, speak at a couple of events. I had an opportunity to do a breakout at Super Summer, which your son was at.
My son
I did not have him in my breakout, but he was there. I got to give him a high five multiple times, and
Great.
so
did he high five you back?
He did. He looked at me weird first, but he did. Yeah, things are going great here at the church. I always wanted to say it like an Australian accent, so I took my chance. Things are going great here at the church. God's doing some great things. God's growing it, and man, it seemed a lot busier and a lot more interesting than it is right now when I'm talking about it. But yeah, it was great stuff. What did you do this summer? What did Pastor Wes do?
Well, my summer pretty much kicked off with Sarah and I going on vacation to Cincinnati area. We stayed in an Airbnb in Covington, Kentucky, and then we went to the Ark Encounter and the Creation Museum. And I got to see the St. Louis Cardinals play the Cincinnati Reds, not one game, not 2 games, not 3 games, but 4 games.
4-game series.
Yep, the Great American Ballpark, great ballpark. Beautiful night. Every night was a beautiful night, just real pleasant, relaxing, and that was awesome.
The Great American Smash
And
Park.
somehow, this summer, I've got one more game to go to so far. That'll be my 9th Major League Ball game this summer.
Nice.
And We actually went to one together last week.
We did. We went to the historic Wrigley Field.
Oh, yeah.
That was the quickest trip ever, but we made it happen.
Yep, we did it.
We rode the train. It's really funny. Wes is terrified of anything that moves.
Now listen, no. This train, the Metra, I'm going to call it out. I actually read that not too long, last month, Metra actually hit a person and killed him.
Well, people walk on the track all the time. It's not Metra's fault. It's
not Metra's fault, but I felt like I was riding that kid roller coaster at Silver City.
He does not like to be jerked around.
Now, on the way back, we took the Amtrak. You got to admit that was much smoother.
Yeah, because they went 5 miles an hour.
They did not. They went 70.
It was my mile per hour tracker. Most people would call that a speedometer on my phone.
Registered at 0.
It would not even read. We were
obviously moving faster than 0.
No, well, barely.
No.
But I will say it was more comfortable.
We still made it back to Joliet in an hour, like they said we would.
That's true, because they knew that we would be driving 5 miles an hour. But it was very comfortable. I would suggest doing at least one Amtrak ride.
I liked Amtrak.
It might be one of those things where I've done St. Louis to Chicago before. We did it about 2 years ago, and it was about 6 hours. It's actually almost just as fast to drive it, but you don't have to control anything. And the thing of
don't have the traffic.
You don't have the traffic. You can just sit back and relax. There's no wear and tear on your vehicle, so that's cool. I will say it's probably not it's not much cheaper than flying somewhere. Probably. Maybe the St. Louis to Chicago is a lot cheaper, but I feel like we were looking at something, or Wes was looking at something when we were on the Amtrak, because he was so interested in it. St. Louis to California.
Ooh.
That was a little pricey.
Well, that was almost $600.
Yeah, so that's cheaper to fly.
Cheaper to fly. Definitely.
Cheaper to fly.
And that was a round trip.
But, round trip? Yeah, it's still cheaper to fly. Well,
I think you can find flights. I mean, goodness, I can fly to India for $1,700.
That's true. And when I flew to California last year for the convention, I did a round trip for about $500, maybe a little less.
Yeah.
Probably less.
Yeah.
But I also drove Spirit, so I put my life in someone else's
But
hands.
we did get our feet wet in the transit system there in Chicago.
We did. We only got...
Which I thought was fun doing.
Yeah.
I like that stuff.
Do you?
I do.
It didn't seem like it when we were there.
No, I liked it.
No, it was kind of cool. It was kind of a cool experience. So
you just got to know what street to get off on.
Yeah, so here's the thing.
Good.
I'm not the one that should be calm, cool, and collective and really paying attention. I'm the guy in the group that just stands there and then follows everybody else.
Yeah.
Wes is also that guy. And so when we put ourselves together,
we're lost.
We're completely lost. And I had to be the responsible one a little bit. And I didn't like that. So next time it's your turn.
Yeah, I can do it. I've been to India.
I don't have the attention span for one. My AD, I honestly have adult ADHD.
For me, it was just the newness of everything.
Yeah. There's some awe factors.
How many different trains are there? There's a purple, brown, blue, red.
Loop.
There's a loop, brown loop, purple loop.
Yeah, and so
it's just a matter of trying to understand what goes where.
Yeah. Well, the good thing about being on a loop is even if you accidentally get on the wrong one, eventually you'll loop back around.
Eventually. That's theoretically.
Theoretically, you really will.
I thought I taught putty tap.
Yeah. So that was cool. That was fun.
The ball game, though. Let's get back to the ball game.
Bro.
That was awesome.
That was pretty awesome.
And we went and we saw the Braves play the Cubs.
Yes.
Which you're a diehard Braves fan.
I am. And
Braves are probably my second favorite team behind the Cardinals, which Cardinals this year out of the playoff picture already, so I am rooting for the Braves. But man, those Cubs. Dude, they took 2 out of 3 from the Braves.
They did. And so we went to the right one.
We went to the right one.
The Braves didn't look that amazing in that game except one inning.
One inning. They just tore it up.
Yeah, they didn't hit except a 4th inning, and they scored 7.
I wouldn't know because I was busy fanning smoke out of my face from our vape guy in front of us.
Yeah, we had a vapor. which was also public service announcement.
Yeah.
Maybe unpopular opinion.
And
but
this podcast may just make it to this guy's ears.
it might. It
might.
I understand. I understand that you paid for tickets, and I understand that you paid for seat tickets. But if there's a whole open row, you don't have to sit on the lap of the person next to you.
Right.
Now we were blessed enough. We were lucky enough that
somehow.
our row.
We could set
knew
every
that.
other one.
Yeah, knew that every other unwritten rule of let's give a buffer. But the people in front of us did not, and to the fact where they pushed the people behind a pole, because there is a pesky pole. Every end aisle, especially in the upper deck of Wrigley Field, you basically sat behind a pole.
That will block. This one particularly blocked home plate.
Yeah, so every other pole you could probably deal with. But this one was like home plate, couldn't see anything. And that poor girl was stuck. And you could tell that she was more of a baseball fan
than the guy
was. And so I felt really bad. And I almost said
which
something.
one was the girl? I couldn't tell.
Okay. Just because you have long hair.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, that's just my thing. Also, while we're on this topic.
The vaping?
No.
Oh.
No, we're on to talk
I thought
about.
you were going to go off on the vaping.
No, I'm going to go off on setting.
On what?
We like sitting with people.
Sitting?
Sitting.
Sitting?
I speak for a living. This is going to be a highly unpopular opinion, I'm sure.
Ooh, let's hear it. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
We might get messages on this one.
Let's do it. I want messages.
If you're dating,
oh,
or even if you're married,
here it goes.
And you go to a restaurant,
here it comes,
and you're by yourself.
Oh yeah, let's do it.
Please don't sit on the same side of the booth. That drives me absolutely nuts.
That's a preference thing.
I know, and I know
it's not culturally wrong.
Well, it's Sedheimer culturally wrong. No, but I know that's what I'm saying. It's an unpopular opinion, and we're on it.
Maybe they were waiting for another couple.
So I will say
they never showed up.
I will say this: that happened on Sunday afternoon. My dad and my mom took us out to dinner after church that afternoon, and a couple came and did that, and I judged them hard in my mind, like to the point where I couldn't eat. Because I was so worked up about this.
That's terrible.
I know. I'm a terrible person. I'm just being honest. I'm being real here on whatever this is.
I'm questioning what this is.
And I looked at Sarah and I said, I can't believe this. And she goes, calm down. You can't control anything. I said, I know. My control issues were coming up.
You could have gone and sat with them.
I almost did.
To balance that.
I almost did. I thought about it, just to go talk about it. And about the time that I was getting really, really angry, their two daughters came in and said,
see?
Yeah, I know. And I know. And they were like 20 minutes after. And so...
But did they share their false teeth?
They were probably younger than us, even the parents.
That didn't matter.
That's also true.
I played high school baseball with a kid that had false teeth.
That's true. We had some high school people. That was ageism.
And I saw this happen. He was a catcher, took a foul ball off the mask, and it popped his false teeth out. His catching. It was hilarious.
That is funny. We've lost every one of our listeners.
Yeah.
Our listeners on
we'll
season 1 or season 2.
Sometimes you gotta subtract before you add.
That's true. And so that was some of our summer. Wes, tell us what's going on in your church, man.
We had several baptisms this summer.
Ooh.
Got 2 more to schedule, so that's great. These 2 that we're scheduling were from VBS, which we had a tremendous enrollment this year at Roby Baptist Church. We had 160 enroll in VBS.
Dude, that's amazing. I saw the
averaged
pictures.
130, 31 a day.
Wow.
Our biggest group was our youth group, which we do 7th and 8th grade for VBS. And so Brian, who's our new youth pastor, we can get Brian on here sometime.
Brian can sit right here.
Brian can sit right here. We'll pat him on the head. Hey, Brian.
But I'm pretty sure he's taller than both of us.
I think, he's pretty tall.
But we'll pat him right here.
Yeah. So anyway, we had nearly 30, anywhere between 30 and 40 a day of youth age.
Dude, that's awesome.
Now, not all of those were 7th and 8th grade. We found out that some of them were freshmen. There was some confusion on
Yeah.
what age, but we didn't turn anybody away.
No, you shouldn't.
And they had a good time. We had a few rowdy incidences that we just had to.
But when you have 130 kids / teenagers
And
in a room,
there was slight panic at the beginning because last year they had in the group was 9.
oh yeah,
So we weren't expecting 30.
yeah.
We had to put out an emergency call to the church family and say we need help. And
Bro, I told you to call me. I'm glad your church family stepped up.
we want our church family to step up first, and they did.
Yeah.
They did. We had several that started coming every day to help, and it was a great blessing.
That's so awesome. I say you should have called me, but I think
And our building's almost done.
You're getting a new youth facility.
Youth facility / clothing store is almost done.
Free
I just
clothing, by the
bought
way.
the paint yesterday. I went and picked up paint yesterday
Dude, that's a big deal.
to paint the walls.
You guys will be in the next few weeks.
We'll be in by September, I think, for sure.
That's so awesome. So if you're in the Roby area,
Yeah, stop by. We'll show you around.
that's so cool.
Lots of things happening. Our church attendance has been healthy for the summer.
Yeah.
You know, usually summer dips down pretty low. You know, when I say low, like 90s.
Yeah.
We've maintained still an average around 130 a
That's
week.
so awesome.
Even for summer, and we got a lot of families that are just in and out.
Yeah.
But we've added a lot of newer families right now that I'm hoping we can really connect with and hope to see them come back and get plugged in at Roby Baptist Church. So,
That would be so cool.
what are you preaching on right now, Trevor?
I'm in Nehemiah.
Did you know he's the shortest man in the Bible?
Oh, Nehemiah.
Nehemiah.
And I did not do that joke.
You
And
didn't do that joke?
I didn't,
Come
I
on.
forgot
How
until
did-
just now.
You did not forget.
I did.
You did not forget.
I totally forgot. And
You thought it was a dumb joke.
No.
They'll laugh.
and I forgot to quote you.
So you didn't tell my joke and you didn't quote me.
I didn't quote you, but I didn't use the quote
I
either.
don't even remember what the quote was.
Sometimes that we are more disgusted than we are broken.
Ah, that's a good quote.
It was,
We
and
could talk about that.
We can talk about that right now. We can actually get some substance to this.
Yeah, it's our first episode.
It's true. It's true. But yeah, so I was in Nehemiah chapter 1. We kind of talked about what breaks your heart for what breaks his, and we kind of went through the thing of prayer first, prayer after, prayer during. So prayer is important. Passion brings action, and we talked about sometimes you have to sit down and cry. What breaks your heart, and you got to kneel down to pray, and then you got to stand up to act. Which I got those points. I did steal every one of those points from Craig Rochelle, but
Craig.
I'm gonna let him know that was where I got those points.
Hey, I'm sure he learned it from someone
Yeah,
else.
and I made my obviously I made my own sermon out of it.
Sure.
But I did take those points because I think they were amazing, and I
we
couldn't
do
have said it
have,
better myself.
In season 1, we do have a full episode on that very topic.
Exactly.
So
And so I'm just
we've
being
talked
honest.
about what is plagiarism, what is
Yeah.
what can we
And so and a lot of this series is going to be from Craig Rochelle's series. I'm just a lot of those points, and I'm twisting. I mean, the artwork's going to be from him. I steal a lot of artwork from him because he has people who get paid to do it.
Yeah.
And I say steal. He gives them away. There's a website where pastors can go to and
I didn't know
download this
that.
stuff, and
I'll
so
have to look that up.
yeah.
I'm always looking for good graphics.
Yeah, and so I a lot of times I will name my series over something of that or something else that is free, so I can use the free content because we are not a church that has someone full time,
Right.
or I am not talented enough, but they do, and they are nice enough to share that resource. I'm not a Google image guy and then just take something because I don't know if I have permission to use it.
Right. There's copyrights out there.
Yeah, so I will use things I have permission to. And like I said, we have a whole episode on that. Anyway, I digress. And so we talked about that, and it was. I think it's going to be really good, and I honestly do think it is going to be a series that changes the direction.
Trajectory.
Trajectory.
Projector.
It's going to change the direction. This is why I don't steal other people's stuff, because people know if I use a big word, they're like,
Where do you get that at?
"Bro, that's not you."
Where do you get that?
Of our church.
Yeah.
I honestly think it's one of those pivotal, I do say that word, pivotal points in our church's history.
Great.
And I say that boldly.
You guys are in a really good spot for that.
Yeah, and I say that boldly, and I say that confidently, and God has been working on my heart the last few weeks, because this was a series I was going to do in the summer, and I actually completely trashed it. Like, I'm not going to do this. We're not ready for it.
Timing wasn't right.
Timing wasn't right, and he said not yet. I thought he said no, but literally he said not yet. And I even said it in the service that Roxy, our administrative assistant, actually had more faith than I did, because she actually took all the printouts and stuff that I already had to print out for the summer and put underneath the calendar and was waiting for me to do it.
Nice.
Yeah, so I think it's really cool.
Roxy,
all that to say,
Roxy's so much smarter than you.
1,000%. Nothing would get done on my day if it wasn't for Roxy.
Yeah, so we had this discussion on the way or back from Chicago. Can't remember which, probably on the way back.
Way back.
And I had mentioned that there is a difference between being discouraged and broken. And I guess what I meant by disgusted.
Yeah.
Disgusted, yeah. I can't remember my own quote.
Yeah.
Sometimes they'll just come off the top of my head.
It's true. It's so good.
I have to write them down. Like, oh, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Jesus.
What I mean by that is, even with our own sin or other people's sin, we can get easily disgusted to where we're angry or mad at it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't necessarily break us, like bring us to a point of repentance or a point of just intercessory prayer on behalf of those who are sinning.
Yeah.
For example, I can give you a really good example. When we were in Chicago, I was disgusted by some of the stuff we saw, how people dressed, how they were acting, and it didn't necessarily break me. Like, it caused me to weep for this generation that's coming up. But I was disgusted. And I think what God desires us is to be broken.
Yeah.
To the point where when we're broken, we're going to see why they need Jesus. If we're disgusted, it's more about us.
Yeah.
Right?
100%. And let's be honest, brokenness usually is followed by passion.
Mm-hmm.
And passion almost always is followed by action.
Yeah.
Disgust is usually followed by judgment, and judgment usually follows by walking away.
Yeah.
Or pushing away. There's no action to it.
I don't want to be with these people.
Yeah, get these people
I don't
out.
have anything to do with them.
Yeah.
And I was at that point, somewhat.
Yeah.
And my eyes were drawn to places that shouldn't have been drawn to.
Yeah, and it's one of those things.
There was a disgust
Yeah.
with them, but there wasn't a brokenness on my part that my eyes were drawn to some of that.
Yeah.
Or their condition that they're in, because they're lost.
100%.
They're doing what lost people do.
Yeah.
And I think churches are that way too. We're more disgusted with abortion. We're more disgusted with homosexuality. We're more disgusted with drunkenness.
Yeah.
We're more disgusted with whatever sin it is than we are broken. And that's why we don't have people praying.
Yeah.
And I kind of touched on this last Sunday night, because I taught on prayer Sunday night from Colossians. And I challenged the church that if there's something that bothers you about all these youth coming now, or children that we have running around the church, and I said, first of all, be thankful, because not a lot of churches have children.
Amen.
Or youth. But if their behavior is disgusting you, how about we turn that around and become broken for them, and we pray for them?
Yeah.
Instead of trying to avoid them or befriend them, get to know them.
Yeah. So, because if we fall under, and it's kind of the same thing, just to piggyback off that, to say it a different way, basically, doing what a Baptist does, 3 points, the exact same thing, say it different ways.
You got to throw a poem in there. Too.
Yeah. Roses are red, violet. No, I'm just kidding. If we're disgusted, we will never think that they are worthy enough of our salvation.
Yeah.
If we are disgusted, we will never tell them or show them. We might tell them but we're going to angrily judge them to try to get them to what we believe. If we are broken, we're going to love, we're going to come beside, we're going to show them salvation. We're not just going to bark salvation at them.
With the compassion
yes.
you talked about.
Yes, because, again, discipleship will come. And it's one of those things that let's be honest, we've probably never walked up to someone and lovingly shared Jesus to someone that we were disgusted with.
No.
But we will have a reasonable, lovable conversation about something that we're broken about. And I think what our everyday actions will show what we're passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
If we're passionate about Jesus, we are going to tell people about Jesus. If we are passionate about baseball stats, we're going to talk about fantasy baseball or fantasy football or whatever that looks like. You can tell what someone's passionate about by what they're always bringing to the table. Mm-hmm. And sadly, and this is talking to me too, I'm not just singling just church people out, I'm talking to me too. Sadly, we have more passion about a lot of worldly things than we ever did Jesus. And I think that's where let's just be honest, that's where the hate of the church has come from. Because we're passionate about other things, but then we get disgusted, we attack. We don't cry, we attack.
Yeah, the motive is wrong.
Yeah.
It's more of a Jonah issue.
Yes.
Jonah went to Nineveh with the attitude of God's going to rain down fire and wipe these people out with my message. But God had a different perspective. He wanted to show the Ninevites compassion.
Yeah.
Showed them mercy. They repented. Jonah got mad.
Yeah.
He was mad.
Yeah.
Because God showed them compassion.
Yeah.
And he was disgusted with those people.
Yeah.
He wasn't compassionate.
So, and that just kind of reminds me too, I mean, we see this all throughout Scripture about God wanting to move, God wanting to do something, Jesus did something for the least, Jesus did something for the blind and lame and the ones who can't walk, and then the church people get in the way. And so, I almost called them the Pharisees.
Pharisees.
Little parasites of church people.
Parasites.
The Pharisees get us in the way. I talked at a recovery house last night. I got a chance to preach a message at our recovering soldiers' house, and it was amazing. But it was one of those things that I even talked about the pool of Bethesda. Guy after 38 years gets healed, didn't even know the name of Jesus, gets healed, walks away, and as church people, the only thing that we could say was, "Wait, isn't it on the Sabbath?"
Yeah.
And so then we just go back to our rules and regulations, and there's no compassion, there's no celebration. And that's another thing. We might have a few people that are actually broken, and then Jesus does exactly what we want him to do, and then we question and judge it.
We find a way to criticize.
Like, why that, or why this, or there's no way he, or there's no way she. Do you not remember what she did last week? Or she was in the paper 4 weeks in a row. How could she be at the altar? Like, it's just... That's what disgusts me, and it breaks my heart. So,
yeah, I mean that's exactly how we respond sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, I told this story during my sermon. One of the most and why I lead a church and pastor the way that I pastor is when I first started this whole calling. I just started kind of traveling around. I did some youth evangelism stuff when I first started because I didn't know what else to do because I knew no one would hire me. So I was like, hey, take my 4 messages and walk around. No, I'm just kidding.
Was that a jab at...
That's not a jab at Bob.
That was a jab at Bob. We got to get Bob.
Dude, I love Bob. We mentioned him. He was like...
We were with him.
He's like a little mascot that no one even knows.
Yeah.
Oh, shoot.
We had lunch with him the other day.
We did. That's something in our summer. But I'm not going to mention the name of the church because it was somewhere semi-locally. But I will never forget this. We were getting ready. It was one of those things that you could tell that they weren't used to first-time guests because the administrative assistant was so excited. I know this person's coming. It's family of so-and-so. Blah, blah, blah. So excited. So again, the church goes into overdrive to make it look like they have a welcome team, and standing at the door having bulletins ready, and then you could tell she was the new one because it was a car like no one else drove. You could really tell when she got out it was clothes that no one else wore, and she was walking up the door, and someone literally said to her, a gentleman that was supposed to be a deacon, literally said to her, "We wear our Sunday best here." And it broke my heart. And
Wow.
before I could get to her, she was already in her car and drove away. And it was like, she took her time, and she was finally bold enough to even hear what this Jesus thing was all about. And you got healed on the Sabbath, so this is against the law. And it just broke me. And so from that day forward, I faked my way through the message because I was so mad and cried almost all the way home, and it was terrible. So, yeah, that's what changed me in the trajectory,
Trajectory.
the trajectory of
So
my ministry.
my immediate thoughts are: A, he's not really a deacon.
Yeah.
B, if that is the culture, I'm out of there.
Yeah.
I'm out of there.
And I think they're probably different now, maybe,
I hope so.
but I haven't went back.
Because a church like that's not going to grow.
No, and it should. It just, like I said, I broke my heart, and that's why I said during the story, supposedly a deacon, because biblical deacons, those are exactly the people that they should be drawn to, and so serving the widows, serving the children, the singles, and it just again, it's just, and that's
I'm pretty sure the Book of James has a lot to say about that attitude.
100%. But there's a chance that this person never read the Book of James
The deacon?
with that attitude.
Yeah.
And so,
So here's the problem: is depending on what church that is and what they believe about their deacons. Deacons are sometimes, like that title deacon, is pursued by some of the most prideful people because they look at it as a position of power.
yeah,
So when you get that mentality into your deacon body, there's a lot of either really spiritually weak deacons or unsaved deacons
yeah,
because it's a political power within a little body of believers.
yeah,
You know, they can control the church, they can run it, they can make the decisions, and by golly, we can run a pastor off quicker than anybody.
yep.
You know, and so that kind of mentality doesn't surprise me.
And they lead out of disgust and not out of brokenness.
Yes.
It's kind of whirlwind what we've been talking about.
I have personally have never been a part of a deacon body like that, but I've heard horror stories.
Yeah,
And you're right, a lot of them lead out of disgust, anger, opposition, and that's unbiblical.
yeah. And so, and I have been at a church where I've got kicked out of deacons meetings before, as the youth pastor, because, again, I'm not going to say where, but it was literally said, we need to do this to grow, and one of the deacons came back, why do we want to grow? We have a great family the way we have it. And I was like, what?
We have a great family.
And so
let's forget about the kingdom.
So I got kicked out of that meeting because I didn't hold my tongue very well, and I was just the youth guy. So
I do have a good
speak
story.
when you're spoken to.
I too was a youth pastor at this church, not the same church, at a church, and I was sitting in a deacon meeting, and the deacon body at that church was pretty good, but there was one or two that.
Mhm.
The pastor there was working on transitioning them out because they had this kind of attitude I'm about to share. There was a benevolence need in the community. The person was asking for like $50. And this is a church that has a $300,000 yearly budget.
Yeah.
And they have benevolence funds reserved. and this one deacon asked this question: will they pay it back?
So
Will they pay it back?
Will they pay it back? Yeah, and so
I was like, I'm looking at the pastor like, how you gonna answer that?
yeah, so and I haven't had, I had that church where deacons was not a great experience, and I've been in other churches where deacons could be cantankerous. Cantankerous, and
don't they have a medication for that? Oh, that's canker sores. I'm sorry.
Which I have one.
It's canker sore.
Right here.
Don't show that. What are you doing?
It's not, you can't see it. My face is too fat. You can't get down to that.
That stuff's contagious.
It might be. I don't know.
Not canker sore. Okay.
Anyway, and so I was actually in. In the process of planning a church, and deacons were not going to be a thing. I was not going to do deacons. And I know, biblical, you should have deacons and all that fun stuff.
If they're biblically
deacons,
then yes, you need them.
But I was terrified that it wouldn't be, because I just, power and everything. But man, that didn't happen. Lord merged us, I guess, because everyone that was in that living room is now here at First Baptist. But man, I cannot brag on my deacon buddies enough. They have been amazing. I can see the brokenness in them. They're making decisions to take care of the church. I would say that we probably lean more elder job than necessarily deacon job at times. But they also are doing it well. And it's not like one of those I need power. It's just the decision they're making would normally probably be an elder body, but we don't have that. And so they're stepping in that role a little bit. But I would say that they are deacons that, even if we had elders, I would say almost every one of them would be considered in that role anyway. And so they're doing a great job. In fact, one of our deacons is an ordained pastor. And he's just kind of setting in until we can find more of the deacon role in there. So they're not completely out of step, but man, they are amazing. And actually, one of our deacons is the one who painted this wall behind me. And so
yeah, thanks, Jim.
But man, Dan's amazing. He's our chairman of deacons right now. I don't know if any of these guys listen to that, but Joe's amazing. Harold is our ordained pastor, who's sitting in. He's a cool dude. He's amazing. Ty, my guy. I call him that because it rhymes. I don't know if he likes it or not, but and so man, it's just.
I like this thing because I can yawn and nobody can see it.
I know. And it's also cool. It's not really plugged up, so you can yawn and it's not like in your microphone.
Hey, don't give away our secrets.
We're getting there. We gave it away last season. We did say that it would be plugged in.
Season 2.
Oh yeah, sorry.
We're gonna have new people listening.
We'll edit that out.
No, we won't.
But man, we have some cool things. Anyway, all that to say,
so
amazing.
Yeah. So a lot of good things have happened.
Yes.
A lot of good things are happening now.
Yes.
So
I've got to baptize 11 people in the last 3 out of 4 weeks.
Nice.
5 of those they are directly connected to our church now, but 5 of those was the recovery home.
Yeah.
And so I can't just say that under our leadership. But man, the recovery home here in Houston is knocking it out.
One of the guys I baptized a few weeks ago, his name's Sheldon.
Yeah.
He's been coming to Roby for probably since the beginning of the year sometime.
Yeah.
He and I really connected. We had coffee one day and talked. And so anyway, to my surprise, he'd been a believer for quite a while. But to my surprise, he come to me one day and said, I've never been biblically baptized. And so we baptized him in the river a few weeks ago. And now he's
down to the river.
Now he's gonna fill in for Ormsby Sunday morning at Sunday school.
That is what I'm talking about.
And he is very biblically solid, which is why it surprised me he hadn't been baptized yet. But he's like, I'm going to do it.
Man, that's so awesome.
And he's also as we have our opening song for our gather, like it's time to gather, like
Yeah.
let's get in your seats, stop talking type stuff. He's going to play a song on his banjo.
Dude, I'm coming to your church Sunday.
Yeah, do it.
I'm coming to your church
Hey,
Sunday.
just bring your whole church with you.
Sorry, First Baptist. I won't be here Sunday. No, man.
No, I'm excited for him because that's what it's about.
Yeah.
You know, he's following Jesus, and Jesus has given him
Dude, that is so...
stuff to do.
Man,
in the
that is
church.
so amazing.
That's
Be
what-
obedient, step
that's
in
what I love.
obedience, worship in the waiting.
Yeah. So let's wrap this up. I think we had a good discussion.
I think so.
What are we going to see in the future with our podcast? What can we anticipate, Trevor?
Man, we are on it this season, because I was just about to say that.
Yeah, dude.
Bro, I was going to ask you that. So, man, now I got to answer this question, because you beat me to it.
Well, I can help too.
Well, of course, but I think what some of the things that I've dreamed about and what we've talked about in our vision is we will probably have a little bit more guests this season. There'll probably be a team of 3 of us. I would say almost the majority of the time. Hopefully, if it works out. I'm thinking Bob Caldwell this season.
Got to get Bob on here.
I'm thinking
We're going to go to Bob.
we're just saying this stuff without asking questions, but
And Roger. We got to get Roger on there.
I want Roger Johnson, the pastor of the Ridge Church, who has multiple locations, 4 locations around Missouri, around the Sullivan area.
Which would be
Bella
great
Ridge.
because we've already recorded a podcast with Chad Mathis, who's the pastor at
yes.
Red Tree that you were associated with.
Yes, so he's a church planter.
He's a church planter.
And Roger is a church sender.
Right.
Planter sender.
He's the sponsoring church.
Yes, he raises up leaders and then sends them out to do these things.
Yeah, so it'd be good to have his perspective.
So he could even, they do such a good job. I don't know if you've ever watched those shows of like Bar Rescue or Hotel Rescue or something. Roger could be a host where he's like, Church Rescue, blah, blah, blah.
Well, and also his ministry to other pastors.
Dude,
too,
is
that
amazing.
need rescued, like, who've been hurt or...
I feel like I finally made it. He liked our Facebook page.
He is literally the Good Samaritan. Like,
Dude, he is so amazing.
He'll take pastors that are almost dead and dying,
Yeah.
that have been wounded, and he brings them in for healing.
Yeah.
His ministry is amazing.
Dude, he's so good. And he has this quote that I will always put to my heart, and now that I'm a lead pastor, and hopefully have a staff someday, that you have to take care of your staff because staff infection is the worst sickness of a church.
Mm-hmm.
If there's infection in your staff, your church will follow. And so, man, just loving on your staff, loving on other pastors.
Yep.
And dude, he does an amazing job. When you are with Roger and Bob, you are the most important person in the room. You are the best at what you do.
Yeah.
He would not want anyone else in that position.
No.
And it's just amazing.
Yeah. So we need to go get those 2 on.
Yeah, I would love those 2.
We've already got recording with Chad. We also have a recording with Savannah. What's her last name?
Why'd you do this to me?
Dadgummit.
She just got married.
She did. That's why we're...
And so I don't know which last name is, I can't remember.
Doog?
Doog, yes.
Doog.
Because I think she was, I'm not even going to say her maiden name because Doog is it. But that's why, it's not that we forgot her name. It's we didn't know which one was the married one because it was literally like 2 weeks before we talked to her.
Yeah. Amazing young woman.
So yeah, when I was on the phone with her, talking to her about coming to camp and even being on our podcast, she was one last name, and then by the time she got here, she was another last name.
Yeah, she just did.
So that's our excuse. But she is an amazing young lady, communicator, great leadership skills. We talked to her about leadership in the church, leadership as a female,
As a woman. Yeah.
And she's not a pastor, she's a leader. So don't IM us. Actually, IM us. I'd love to have that discussion with you. But great leader, great heart, great communicator.
She loves the Lord.
She talking about passion, and talking about broken hearts for teenagers. Dude, Savannah is the dude in that. You like that?
She's the dude.
She's the Duke in that, man. She's awesome.
So we've got that recording already.
And Chad's an amazing church planner, one of the best leaders and lovers of people, all kinds of people that I've seen. One of those, we love you where you're at, but we love you too much to help you stay there. And man, so, discipleship is huge for him, but I mean, just his heart for the lost and making an environment and a culture that unchurched people want to attend is amazing.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah,
we got those at some point. That's already pre-recorded. I don't know if that will be part of our 12 episodes or if that will just be an extra one that we throw in.
So my thinking is, let's get Roger on, and then either Chad will be before him or after him.
I love it.
Because those two kind of go together.
Yeah. And then we might just jump on for a non-pre-recorded intro.
Yeah.
And give you about 10 minutes of us before we jump to that.
That's right. 10 minutes of us.
Yeah, because you can't not have us.
What is that?
I don't know. That was my dance move. You like it? Richard showed me that. Richard. So, he's a cool dude. We might have Richard on here sometime.
Some guy named Richard.
He's coming to our church. He's amazing. Oh, we might need to get him on here. Anyway, yeah. So, guest, co-host. Who knows? This might turn into a 3-man team.
Whoa.
Who knows?
Yeah, I like that dynamic.
Who knows? It felt really, really good when we were with Savannah and Chad and just the flow of everything. So who knows what happens? Whatever this is, man.
Whatever this is.
We
might have 15 in here one day.
Yeah, we might. We have a room now.
We got a room. We can circle more.
We always had a room, but Studio 12 has now moved to room 2, but it's also Studio 12 because the signage is already made. So
we're just having fun with it.
Loving it. Loving the Lord. Loving you. Thank you guys so much. I'm Pastor Trevor.
I'm Pastor Wes.
And this is
Whatever this is.
Podcast.